Hello, everyone. We're live again on YouTube and LinkedIn, bringing you another exciting episode of the Top Innovator Series. This is where we dive into proven leadership ideas, game-changing strategies, and of course, the brilliant minds behind them that make it all happen. I'm Joseph Martins, and I'm excited to introduce today's guest to you. Let's jump right in. With us today is Sushma Krishnamurthy. Sushma is the CTO for Inspire You, an AI-driven mentorship platform. And before that, she's been a tech executive in several other companies. Sushma, it's an absolute pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you so much for inviting me over here. It's a pleasure to be part of this.
Leadership is the topic, like I shared with you, and people want to hear about your leadership journey. And let's start with reflections on your journey, maybe. Now, you have a highly accomplished career. And I'm sure at some point you've been asking yourself, why is that so? Or maybe you haven't, I don't know. But reflect with me on the journey you had. What do you think are some of the ingredients to your success? What has brought you to where you are today?
Sure. So, whole through my journey of leadership on the tech space, right? It's always has been digital transformation or integrating the latest and greatest tech space into the organizations, right? One of the key thing that that has helped me through is every morning when I wake up, it's a brand new start. This is something I learned from my leader because when we were running in one of my previous company, our digital transformation, complete remodeling of the architecture, people, process, everything, right? So I would ask my boss and say, people are just coming at us saying, you're here to take our jobs or you're here to do this. So every time you implement efficiency, usually the people mindset is, oh, we are going to lose job versus thinking we are going to upskill, right? And we always got bombarded with these like, oh, Sushma, you're here to take the job away, or my boss, I'll keep his name away. So I would ask him, what do you do? Don't you ever get angry? He never lost his temper in the meeting, never, right? And I asked him, what do you never get angry? He said, yeah, Sushma, when I get upset, I go into my car, scream out loud, come back, all fresh. He said that, and I was like, does this work? And so back then I used to travel about an hour from my home to the office. And so that day while coming back, I screamed out loud, just screamed in my car. And that made me like, yes, I could rather do this than just beating my head against change is hard. People resist change. And especially being in a tech space, when you're trying to change the behavioral changes using tools, data-driven discussions, it's a big, when you present a data that shows that, hey, we are not efficient or effective, or we are not performing the way we should have been performing, the way people consume that is, oh, they're pointing at us, right? Or they're saying we are not doing a good job versus taking it as a positive way to improve. So of course the emotional imbalance is very heavy there
Right.
because I've had people say, oh, Sushma, you backstabbed me. I'm like, backstabbed you in a professional network? How is that? You showed all the data that we are not performing. I'm like, no, that's not where we are going with it, right? So it's a balance, being in tech space when you want to drive change and go at it. It's a balance that you have to do. And I think what I've learned is, for whatever reason, every morning I start afresh. I forget what's happened yesterday. And so that has helped me push through a lot of my journey in the leadership. Maybe that's the main reason. It's a thick skin, is what I would call myself. Yeah.
So, great. Many things I picked up. Certainly, not holding grudges is important, right? And I love the way you phrased it. Starting every day like a fresh day, and it took my mind on something. Tell me if it's the wrong one, but to really go to an empty space at the beginning of the day, to start from
Yes.
empty and nothingness, and also start the
Nothing.
relationships like that, right? Not
Yes.
burdened by something that by a
Yeah.
bad conversation we had yesterday or something that
Yeah.
went wrong yesterday. Okay,
Yes.
sounds awesome. How do you do it? I mean, I wish it could be done like this. How do you do? How
Yeah,
do you do it?
see, it hasn't been easy always, right? There are days when I just lock myself off of everything and just give myself, how do I go at it in a different perspective also, right? One thing that helps me like to be fresh every morning is my philosophy is people, when they react to change or when they react to technology enhancements, changes, AI, data, right? It's basically out of fear. It's basically out of it's they're not trying to be personal at me. They're just expressing. That's just their way of expressing, right? So I don't take any feedback very personal. Even if somebody told me like, hey, you're building the bad tech space, I'm like, great, tell me what is the better one, right? I don't take things personal because you need to pick your battles. And that's what that is. I mean, is it important for me to just keep thinking about what people
Yeah.
told me yesterday, or do we move forward to make something better from a product
Yeah.
perspective, right? I think I've always been a person that nothing is as important as your mental wellness.
Yeah.
So anytime anything happens, I always ask a question: does this impact me mentally? If the answer is yes, I just throw it away. Anything, it's not even
Okay.
professional.
Okay.
Other things too. Because, or one of my mentor had asked me previously, this is what I ask others who my mentor is. By thinking about it, am I going to solve it? It's There is no solution if I'm going to keep thinking
No.
about what
Right.
happened versus what can I do today, right? So those are some things. I listen to a lot of David Goggins. I don't know if you know, he's a runner.
I do.
I like to run. His speeches are wonderful.
Yep.
So I just plug that in, go for a run,
Yep.
and I'm done.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I do know him. My son actually stumbled across him, shared it with me, and yeah,
Yeah, he's
well worth
amazing.
checking out.
Yeah, yeah.
I like this idea that you brought up there, the question of does this help me at the moment or does this solve anything at the moment? How do you do, and I get it with projects or with tasks, right? And we might be able to let go of something because it doesn't help me. But how do you handle this with people who you have in your life tomorrow as well, or who will maybe be there next week as well, and you reach the conclusion this person might not always help my mental well-being or might even be toxic for me? How do you deal with that?
So I have my priorities set very clear for myself, right? What is important for me from a people perspective? It's not like others are not important, but who would impact me the most? It's my inner circle, right? Which is my spouse, my kids are the first, and then my parents are the second one. Anything that comes outside of that, there is a saying that it's always good to have few quality friends over a lot of
Yeah.
you know I'm a very I take pride in saying this, but I'm a very effective worker, as in I don't attend meetings where I'm not adding value. I don't connect and manage relationship where I'm not adding value or they're not adding value, which means I'm not trying to say that the
Yeah.
relationship has to be there because I get something out of them. The relationship has to be there as long as I'm not getting anything negative out of them. Coming in the 40s, it's a realization that toxicity is something that I like to stay away, irrespective of what that relationship is going to be, because it takes a big toll on you, right? So is it very easy to just cut off relation? It's not possible. That is not. But I try to, based on scenarios, I try to see how I can react to a um,
Yeah.
certain changes or certain people or certain impacts, right? Because the only thing we can control is myself. And that's my philosophy always. I mean, probably after 35, that became my philosophy. Prior to that, I was very different. There is no doubt.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me ask you one more question about your leadership journey so far. What has helped you? So these are some thoughts, a philosophy. What else has helped you on your journey? What was there to support you, to nudge you on, to give you
Yeah.
strength on that path?
I think one of the key thing that has always helped me is a data driven ways of handling things, right? Uh, because when two people have a conversation on a topic, it's just a conversation. But when you bring a data into the play, that helps you grow because the data is talking a lot uh, about what you want to achieve, because that has helped me a lot, whether it's negotiating with my boss for a higher role, or
Yeah.
whether it's talking to my team member for what's working, what's not working, or whether it's even to say whether the application or the product I'm building, is it making sense. I think one thing that helps us disconnect emotions from the discussion is data, and that has always helped me to keep my calm in this journey, right? Of course, there are a lot of mentors
Yeah.
that I've spent time with, trying to understand the situation scenarios. But the key thing that has always helped me is data and always starting afresh. These are the two things.
Let me just rephrase this if you don't mind, right? It sounds like
Yeah.
facts have helped, right? Data,
Yes.
I'm going to equate this with
Yes.
facts.
Yeah.
And that's, of course, great to have facts on your side and use that as something to stand on and move
Yeah.
forward. Yeah,
Yeah.
great. Let's take a look at today, Sushma, and
Yeah.
reflect a moment on where you are today. Now, clearly accomplished so far, and at the same time, probably mindful of the fact that there is growth to come, right? That today
Yes.
is not the end state. There's always learning, there's always development that's possible. So I would love to know from you, when you look at where you are today, what do you feel in your leadership journey, right? Again, not to do with work projects, but in your leadership journey. What is something where you feel you haven't quite cracked it yet? Where you feel this is something I wish I could do it. I wish I had, I'm good at it maybe, but I haven't quite reached mastery on it yet.
I still haven't cracked the I still haven't cracked how to keep my emotions in check. It's not although I keep saying, oh, this, right? But when the
I'm
reality strikes,
totally surprised now based on what you said before. I thought you've got a car, you've got the solution, just go scream.
yeah. So especially now as a founder of a company, right? Where everything has to be done yesterday. Now, all these mantras, philosophies that I used to tell bigger or corporates when I used to be their, DevOps and technology transformation guru or whatever, I would say, oh, don't inject scope, don't do this or don't do that, right? And now when I'm building my own product, every evening I bring my engineer and say, could you just add this one line to it? Can you just do that, right? And so of course we don't meet deadlines, and then I lose like, hey, why didn't we meet deadlines? And the engineers are like, you started adding scope, Sushma. And I'm like, oh shit, did I do that? So um, I think when it comes to managing time versus scope, especially from a leadership perspective, I'm still just learning a lot, struggling a lot. Sometimes I do lose my calm when we are not able to meet our client needs, right? Because in this case, I'm in front of the client because it's my own company, right? So yeah, I still struggle there quite a bit, but I'm working on it. I'm working to keep emotions out of conversations.
But this is fascinating. This is totally fascinating, right? And it goes to show that some of the real philosophies that we hold true, right? Like you shared at the beginning
Yeah,
about your leadership philosophy. Sometimes that's exactly what we're working on because we,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I keep saying, oh, I
yeah.
used to tell my one of my peer used to say, you're like that bull in the china shop who breaks everything. In transformation, that's what happens. I would say, no, why can't we learn how to handle scope? And now when I'm doing my own thing, right? Like, why can't I hold my own scope, right?
Right.
So yeah, I'm learning through the journey, and now with all
Okay.
these AI coming in play, that's coming to my journey too. So yeah.
Got it. Now let's take a peek into the future. And
Yeah.
again, not a question about companies, positions, or anything like this. It's
Yeah.
about your leadership journey. If we were to meet in 5 years, 3 years, something like that, right? And I'm going to experience Sushma at her next level of professional, personal development. What would be different? What's the next level of your leadership journey going to look like?
My next level of leadership journey is all around making an impact, right? I've been there, I've earned a lot, people networking or a value or a position for myself, right? My next 5 years is solely on driving an impact into the community on how I can give back what I have learned through it, how I can build more women in the tech space and the leadership space. I think you'll probably see me doing a lot of these philanthropic side of the world, especially with my platform being on that. So next 5 years is all about how can I help the community to grow stronger and better and give a better future for my kids.
Okay,
That's
got it.
that's my purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a clear focus, right? That's clear things to do. Yeah. Um, just to ask you a last question about
Sure.
insights of your journey, maybe. What is something that you've learned on your journey that's totally clear to you? Maybe an aha moment, an insight, something that was shared to you. It's completely clear to you. And at the same time, your sense is that not everyone sees it, that it's a blind spot for many people, but it's clear to you. What might
Like,
be
could
something
you
like
just
that?
can you explain that a bit? I'm not
Yeah.
like
So maybe you had an experience in your journey and something became clear to you in that moment. Something someone shared something, you had an experience in a project or with the way you were doing something and it clicked for you. And it was a personal experience that you had that caused that click, that personal change for you. But not everyone has it. Not everyone has made that experience and they might not see that. Do you know what I mean?
the chain that I have made, they have not seen that, or
Yeah.
yeah. So something that I've realized over a period of time is people get highly intimidated when I'm talking to them with data.
Okay.
When I say data, it's facts, right? So you're talking facts. In my head, I'm thinking, oh, I'm just telling what's out there. So what's wrong in that, right? If somebody were to say, hey, your team has 200 bugs, I have no issue in listening. But not everybody is going to hear that, oh, my team has 200 defects or my team has 200, whatever. It may not be, it may come across as very intimidating because your facts that is supporting what you're talking through. I've learned that through my journey, and I'm been trying not to be as intimidating as I look or as I talk, because a lot of times they say, "Oh, you come across first thing when we see you." They say you come across like you don't talk to people, or you're very snobbish or whatever. But the reality is, I'm an introvert. So it's not that I don't talk because I don't want to talk. It's just I prefer just sitting and observing others. But that's something that I've learned. And now I've started to just be out and speak about me. I even wrote my book related to this. So, yeah, so I'm making that effort to not look like that. It's just me being introvert. That's it. So,
Got it. You mentioned a book. Put in a plug for your book. Tell us the title, tell us what it's about.
yeah, so the book name is Own Your Introversion. So I wrote about how we, the introverts, can own our introversion so that people are not thinking that, hey, you cannot reach
Yeah.
out to her because she's not speaking, but it's more the culture and the nature of the person, right? So I just published that book last year and it's on Amazon. So yeah, it's called Own Your Introversion. Thank you for that.
Cool. Sushma, thank you so much. Thank you so much. There are many things that will stay with me. I loved the
Yeah.
starting the day fresh and also finding a way to start relationships fresh on that day. And the image of you screaming in a car will stick with me as well. That was
Thank
awesome.
you so much, Joseph.
Yeah. Thank you to everyone who was watching today. It's a wrap for today. Don't forget that we'll be on YouTube and LinkedIn Live again to share the latest insights from top innovators. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us, and see you next time. Until then, keep your brain cells active. Take care, everyone.